This is Tommy LiPuma, American music producer. Now, if you're looking for a producer that's said to have the best ears in the music business, has sold over 75 million albums, and has won a number of Grammy Awards, you came to the right place. This video will examine the life and music of Tommy LiPuma. Tommy LiPuma. Born July 5th, 1936, died March 13th, 2017, was an American music producer. His productions received 33 Grammy nominations and sold over 75 million albums. His 6 individual nominations resulted in 5 Grammy wins. LiPuma worked with many musicians including Barbra Streisand, Miles Davis, Bill Evans, George Benson, Jarreau, Anita Baker, Natalie Cole, the Yellowjackets, Michael Franks, Diana Krall, Paul McCartney, the Crusaders, Joe Sample, and Dr. John, just to name a few. In 2020, his biography, The Ballad of Tommy LiPuma, was named the Music Biography of the Year by the New York City Jazz Record. LiPuma was born in Cleveland, the 4th of 5 children. His parents were immigrants from Italy. When LiPuma was a child, an extended bone infection caused him to find solace with a bedside radio, where he discovered rhythm and blues and jazz artists of the time: Little Jimmy Scott, Ruth Brown, Big Mabel, Charles Brown, and Nat King Cole. Inspired by the music, he began taking lessons on the tenor saxophone. While playing in local big bands, he also attended barber school, intending to follow in his father's footsteps. However, a chance opportunity to go on tour with a band changed his plans. His first real job in the music business was as an entry-level employee for a local Cleveland music distributor, MS Distributors, where eventually he became a local promotions representative. In 1961, LiPuma worked as a promotional representative for Liberty Records, which eventually acquired Imperial Records and its publishing catalog. From here, LiPuma began working in music publishing, but also produced demo sessions for young songwriters such as Jackie DeShannon, Randy Newman, and PJ Proby. In late 1964, LiPuma produced his first recording for release with fellow Clevelanders, the O'Jays, yielding the top 40 R&B hit, Lipstick Traces. In 1965, Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss hired him to be the first staff producer for the A&M label. Over the next 4 years, he produced the top 40 hits, Guantanamera for the Sandpipers, The More I See of You from Chris Montez, and gold albums for French singer Claudine Longet. He delivered dialogue in Claudine Longet's 1968 single, A Walk in the Park. Inspired by the cultural changes in the late 1960s, including some events at the Montreux Pop Festival, LiPuma formed the Blue Thumb label with Bob Krasnoff in 1968. Feeling that his productions for A&M were pigeonholed to a certain style, LiPuma saw this as a chance to expand his musical horizons. Phil Upchurch, a label signing, said that Louie LiPuma had the best ears in the record industry. Blue Thumb Records assembled an eclectic roster of musical talent, also including Jerry Rafferty, The Credibility Gap, The Crusaders, Ike and Tina Turner, The Pointer Sisters, The Jazz Crusaders, Southwind, Nick DeCaro, comedy troupe National Lampoon, and Dan Hicks and his Hot Licks. In 1974, LiPuma took on a production assignment for Columbia Records. As Blue Thumb's co-producer, he could freelance at will, working with Barbra Streisand to create an album featuring the theme song for the film, The Way We Were. By late 1974, he joined Warner Brothers Records as an A&R staff producer. It was at Warner Brothers that he had his first multi-platinum success with George Benson's 1976 album, Breezin', winning his first Grammy for the track This Masquerade. Further chart success continued with music by Michael Franks, Jarreau, Bill Evans, Antonio Carlos Jobim, and Dan Hicks. From 1978 to 1979, LiPuma was hired to handle Horizon Records, an imprint of A&M, where he worked with Brenda Russell, the Yellow Magic Orchestra, Seawind, Dr. John, and Neil Larson. At the end of 1979, he became Vice President of Jazz and Progressive Music at Warner Brothers Records. For a little over a decade at Warner Brothers, he produced records by Randy Crawford, Brenda Russell, Peeble Bryson, Patty Austin, the Yellowjackets, Michael Brecker, David Sanborn, Bob James, Miles Davis, Earl Klugh, Randy Newman, Dr. John, and Everything But the Girl. In 1990, LiPuma left Warner Brothers to become Senior Vice President at Elektra Records. There he executive produced Natalie Cole's Unforgettable With Love, producing 8 tracks on the album. It was one of the most commercially successful projects, certified 7 times platinum and winning 3 Grammy Awards, including LiPuma's second of 3. He revived the career of Little Jimmy Scott's and produced the soundtrack for Dave Mamet's film Glengarry Glen Ross. From 1994 to 2011, LiPuma worked at GRP and Verve Records. At the beginning of his tenure, he met singer and pianist Diana Krall, eventually leading to a long history of successful collaborative efforts amounting to around a dozen albums. Her album, When I Look in Your Eyes, sold 2 million copies and was nominated for Album of the Year. Her next album, The Look of Love, debuted in the top 10 of the Billboard's album chart, selling over 4 million copies globally. Krall's 2002 album, Live in Paris, netted LiPuma his 3rd Grammy. From 2004 to 2011, he was Chairman Emeritus at Verve. While at Verve, LiPuma was able to freelance again, producing tracks for non-Verve artists such as Michael Bublé, Willie Nelson, Barbra Streisand, Joe Sample and Randy Crawford, and Paul McCartney, producing the ex-Beatles' first ever standards album, Kisses on the Bottom. I hope you enjoyed this video on one of my favorite record producers of all time, Tommy LiPuma. Now, if you've got an artist or band you'd like featured on this YouTube channel, pop it in the comments section. I'll make another video. Thanks for dropping by. Rock on.